Hey brothers and sisters, Michael here. I just wanted to make a short video asking the question, how should we read our Bibles? How should we read our Bibles? Often we can just go to our Bibles and pick out a verse here or there which might be encouraging for us for a time, but then a month later we forget that verse and we go on with the rest of our lives. Or sometimes we may just read our Bibles getting a bunch of theology, trying to get a right understanding of God, thinking that that is the goal of our Bible reading. But today I wanted to draw our attentions to Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And this is what it says. It says, "And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect." Right? And so what is Paul saying here? Right? Paul is saying that in order to prove what the will of God is, we need to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And a lot of times Christians, we go to our Bibles, we get all this theology, right? And our minds are being renewed. We are gaining a lot of knowledge. We're gaining a right understanding of the Word, a right understanding of who God is, a right understanding about us. But we often miss Paul's point here, which is that the renewing of our minds is not the end goal, but rather that is the means that God works within us to transform the inner man. And it is only through that transformation that we are able to prove what the will of God is. Right? All the knowledge of the world, all of the wisdom from the Bible, if it does not transform us, our affections are still not changed, and the way that we see things as good, the way that we see things as acceptable or perfect, those things are still marred by our flesh. And until God, by the Holy Spirit, works a change within us and changes the way that we perceive the world, changes our very definitions of what good, perfect, and acceptable are, we will not be able to discern and prove what the will of God is. Our flesh is so very deceptive. The things that we think of as good or as perfect or as acceptable, those things could be completely abhorrent to God. But rather, as we read our Bible, we should be praying for, longing for, and reading with the goal of being inwardly transformed, of having our world view, the way that we see the world, completely changed, and even the way that we interact or feel with the world completely changed. And so how should we read our Bibles? We should read our Bibles with the goal of transformation in our minds. Thanks, brothers and sisters.